Welcome back for the last part of our core set review. This time we're covering all the changes coming to the neutral cards. Let's get into it.
This should be interesting.
As with part 1 and part 2, we're covering the following 5 questions for the neutral cards. What's gone? What's staying? What's different? What's back? And what's new? This is an edited version of our on-stream review, so there is a little bit of jumping around, but not too much. Anyways, let's get into it. So now on to the neutral cards, and there are a ton of neutral cards. There are a bunch leaving because the basic and the classic sets both have a fair number of neutral cards, and then the ones coming in are far fewer because there's one more class than there was originally, but also you're just bringing in 235 cards total for all of the classes, and so yeah, there are far fewer neutral cards, but there are a ton rotating out. Now some of them are irrelevant, but some of them were quite sad to see go. So I'm not going to cover all these cards because there are way too many, but we will be talking about a fair number of them. Now I didn't highlight Angry Chicken, but the ones I really wanted to talk about are typically highlighted. So yes, we're losing Wisp, farewell. We will be getting another 0 mana 1/1 that's a little bit cuter. But all of those meme Wisp decks we built, yes, they are no more. Angry Chicken also, those combos, the buff it, burst it, we can't give it charge with Tundra Rhino anyways. Dire Frenzy would have been amazing on Angry Chicken. But poor Angry Chicken is gone. Hungry Crab, the Murloc control tool, honestly hasn't seen play for a while, though Murloc Paladin is a thing, so I wouldn't have been surprised if some people started teching it. But that's going to be going away. Also Leper Gnome, that burst damage over the top, gone. And then Light Warden also. Okay, so we're talking about more than just the highlighted cards, but Light Warden also, honestly, it was mostly Priest, but sometimes Paladin actually played her. She's gone. Haven't seen her for a while, but we can't build any crazy combos with her. Secret Keeper going away. So with all the Secret Hunters and Secret Mages, losing that tool. Also South Sea Deckhand, he's charged, of course, why not? They get rid of him. But yeah, South Sea Deckhand going away as well. And then we lose Doomsayer. Of course, Mages lost the Frost Nova, but Doomsayer was a great way to kind of buy a turn against those aggro decks if you had anything that you could stick him behind. And so Doomsayer going away is quite sad. He has he has seen the doom that awaits us all. Knife Juggler also for those token decks that are summoning a bunch of things all at once. He's gone. Millhouse Mana Storm, the most powerful 2-drop, is gone. Nat Pagal also gone. A fair number of card draw tools for a lot of the classes have gone away, and we're also losing Novice Engineer. She didn't see nearly as much play as Loot Hoarder, who, spoiler, does get to stay, but still, in cards that really cared about cycling like mad, she saw play. Not that Quest Shaman is sticking around anyways, because that's rotating as well, but losing Novice Engineer feels a little bit bad. And then also the Sun Fury Protector, she hasn't seen much play recently, but as a way to stall out, kind of buy yourself some time against an aggro deck, she's gone. Wild Pyromancer, as mentioned, Circle of Healing, Wild Pyromancer, with one of those new cards, can understand why Wild Pyromancer had to rotate, but also losing it for the Equality Wild Pyromancer for Paladins, and then other decks that wanted to use it just as a continuing to buff. I guess it was really good with the the double blessing thing that Paladins had to heal up a bunch from Wild Pyromancer. That's both of those are rotating, so Wild Pyromancer, a little bit sad to see him go. Blood Knight, the dude Paladin has grown too strong. Our Blood Knight deck that was a lot of fun to play, sadly, we won't be able to play it anymore, the upgraded version anymore, or because Blood Knight is going by. Magma Rager getting replaced by something slightly better, or something better coming back. Murloc War Leader. The Murlocs have been neutered. They are no longer doing ridiculous amounts of damage. Unless something comes to replace Murloc War Leader or something similar. I think the 4/4 that gives your Murlocs +1/+1 is rotating as well. I think it was from Descent of Dragons. So Murlocs are taking a big hit. Also, combo rogues or whirl kick rogues. I don't know if whirl kick master is still in standard, but your rogues that are designed to build up a really huge minion with all their cheap spells and stuff. Questing Adventurer is gone. That's no longer sticking around. And Harambe is dead. Poor guy. So Silverback Patriarch rotates out. Feels bad. We're also losing Wolf Rider. Of course, it's Charge. And speaking of Charge, Stormwind Knight is also rotating. No buff him up, flip him around with the Crazed Alchemist to burst the opponent for a bunch of damage. So those combo decks are gone. Also Pirates with Taunt. Now, the Warrior Pirate that gives you a weapon, Jawbreaker, I forget the actual pirate's name, does have Taunt, so there will be a pirate with Taunt in Standard. But Dread Corsair is gone, which means the Bog Spine Knuckles Evolve Shaman, which we haven't seen too much of lately, will not have a crazy strong play to drop out there. And then Captain Greenskin also taking a loss for us. So weapon decks are really suffering. And with those weapon decks losing all the extra power and flexibility, Harrison Jones also rotating out. So that card draw tech against all of the strong weapon decks is also gone. Of course, Argent Commander being a charged minion, gone. And we can no longer play a great stats for the mana cost Boulder Fist Ogre. He's gone. Reckless Rocketeer, gone. None of that craziness going on. The Beast that we built a fun deck with Priest and the copies and stuff, yeah, the Beast is gone. Most people don't care, but we did do a fun deck with that just recently. But yeah, that's gone. Gruul, the huge guy that continues growing, if he ever stuck on board, he's gone. And then Zoodex will actually be sad to see Sea Giant go. So all of those cards, and of course all the other ones we didn't mention, are gone. So there are a ton of cards rotating out. Now, a fair number will be remaining. And again, not actually going to cover all of these, but we'll talk about the ones that did make the cut. So Acidic Swampoos, we still do have weapon control. That is nice to see. Blood Mage Thalnos made the cut, so some card draw, and also spell damage synergy there. Crazed Alchemist is the replacement for, or rather the only alternative for Inner Fire at the moment, unless we see something from or for Priest to replace Inner Fire. Loot Hoarder, again, glad to have card draw. Curious why River Crocolisk made the cut. There are so many 2-mana, 2/3 stats. Like, River Crocolisk has been the thing to reference as the baseline that nobody uses. It only has a beast tag that's actually beneficial. Not sure why River Crocolisk made the cut, but River Croc is still here. Youthful Brewmaster, the fact that we can use that with the Jailer to bounce things after we've discarded one of our opponent's minions, that's nice. He also continues to open the door for a number of other peculiar weird combos we'll try to put together. Ironbeak Owl, so we still do have a silence tool. I think it's like the only one for most classes, and Priest lost a lot of their silence stuff, so Ironbeak Owl some people are going to be teching this really poorly statted beast. South Sea Captain still sticking around, so pirates are still going to be a force to be reckoned with. Faceless Manipulator still opening the door for a number of crazy combos or crazy copies we can build. And then Gadget Zen Auctioneer, so rogues can still cycle through their decks, or druids can still cycle through their decks. Maybe some other classes might figure out ways to cycle through the deck. And then we've got some modified cards for the core set. So coming back is Arcane Anomaly, and this is just a minor change. It is a mechanics change, but I don't know that it's going to have an impact. The wording changes from whenever you cast a spell, it gains +1 health, to after you cast a spell. And the only time that would be relevant is, for example, if you did have Wild Pyromancer out there, Wild Pyromancer also rotating. If Wild Pyromancer were still in standard, if it was whenever, this would gain the health, and then the flame would go off, and this would survive on a board with a Wild Pyromancer. But now that it's after you cast a spell, he would die. It's a niche scenario, probably not going to matter much, but it is a slight change. I don't think it's ever a buff, but went ahead and double colored it. And then Stone Tusk Boar. He gained an attack, but he can't go face. No Dire Frenzy, smack our opponent in the face for a bunch of damage. No crazy combos there. He has Rush. Okay. Fair enough. They said it was an issue. And also the same thing for Murlocs. Murlocs also. You gained an attack, but it switched to Rush. Beluga Warrior didn't see a whole lot of play anyways. Now he'll see no play. I don't think the +1 attack matters at all, especially with Murloc Warleader gone. And then Stone Tusk Boar, probably also that is a nerf to Oblivion. I don't think it ever makes the cut anymore. We'll see. I could be surprised, but we'll see. Also another change, Flesh Eating Ghoul. Oh yeah, that card exists, and we built a combo around it. One more attack is not really going to cause it to see play, though. So that's still never sees play, except for people like me who purposely build off meta decks. Raid Leader, maybe playable? I mean, the one extra health early on, if you drop him early, might be enough to get him to see play, but probably not. Defender of Argus also, I mean, you didn't really care about the attack, but it's a nice benefit there in the decks that you might actually want to run Argus. I don't think he ever sees play even so. Mini Mage coming back, and it has reduced in cost, but it has lost an attack. Did you care about the attack on the Mini Mage? Not really. And he's still just as easy to remove to anything that doesn't care about the stealth. And honestly, but he is easier to get out there. So maybe some decks might play him. A buff that lots of people have been asking for forever, and yet still is probably not nearly enough to get him to see play. Big Game Hunter is now 4 mana. But because he's so situational, unless we see a bunch of really big minion decks going around, he's not going to see play, sadly. But it is nice to see him get some love. Honestly, if he were 3 mana, he might see play. But at 4 mana, I doubt it. I really doubt it. Gurubashi Berserker also getting a buff. 1 extra health actually matters. Gurubashi Berserker could be, like, it was kind of frustrating when an opponent summoned him off of Jandis Barov. That 1 extra health, I still don't know that you run him in a deck, but off of Jandis Barov, he's going to be even more difficult to deal with. And maybe we can build a deck that actually benefits from him. a Blade Storm deck. We can't actually ever give it charge, but maybe an opponent actually ignores him, and then we Blade Storm it, and it attacks the opponent for a ridiculous amount of damage. I don't know. But that one extra health might give him a better chance of sticking to the board. Cairn has finally been buffed. So him and Bane Bloodhoof both upgraded to 5 attack from 4 attack. So much better. 2 5/5s for 6. With the Death Rattle synergies we're going to see here in a second, Cairn might actually see play. It's possible. Baron Geddon also got a buff, so he's going from 5 health to 7 health, so he can stick to the board to get a second wave of 2 damage to all other characters. Didn't really play him much, but maybe we can do something with Baron Geddon. He might actually see some play now. I doubt it, because that effect... and only 2 damage to everything. It's not a Hellfire, but it's a mini Hellfire, which might sometimes be sufficient. Baron's Stable Hand, we are going to the Barons, Forged in the Barons, so I guess this guy didn't rotate, and he actually got a slight buff. He gets +1/+1 in stats, and he summons you a random beast. He's not going to see play. Sadly. High Inquisitor Whitemane going down in cost and and down in stats, but honestly you really care about her battle cry to summon all friendly minions that died this turn. Does that matter? So it's minions that actually stuck to the board and you attacked with them because they died this turn as the battle cry. I guess maybe in a deck with a bunch of rush minions, but then she's still too expensive? No? I don't know. It'll be a challenge to find use for her. She doesn't see play in meta decks. We probably try and figure out a way to get value from her as a personal side quest or challenge for ourselves. But no. I don't think she sees play in most of the time. And then Stormwind Champion has been buffed to a 7 mana 7/7, and of course still has the your other minions have +1/+1. Probably still doesn't see play, but it's possible. A slower token deck? Maybe. Savage Roar is gone, so maybe. I don't think so. Arcane Devourer has dropped down 1 attack, but has gained 3 health. At 8 mana, it's still really expensive, but this makes me want to experiment with him. Before he was just, no, not worth it. But now, and especially if there's anything with elemental synergies, we can probably do something interesting with Arcane Devourer. Still not a meta card unless there's an elemental synergy something going on, or elemental massive discount card. I don't think he'll see play in meta decks, but we can figure out something for him. Okay, so these 3 aspects have been changed massively, and they've been reworked. Now, these boxes are green and red because I'm not sure. Sometimes it's a buff and sometimes it's a nerf. For example, Alexstrasza now chooses a character, and if it's a friendly one, it'll restore 8 health, and if it's an enemy, it'll deal 8 damage. So the benefit is the flexibility. You can hit minions, you can take out an enemy minion or heal one of your own. And then if you have, say, 12 health, she'll still heal you for a full 8 instead of just 3 when you drop her on the board. Or if your opponent has 10 health, then you drop her, she'll drop the opponent down to 2 health, so she's not useless once you've gotten your opponent to 15 health or lower. And and she won't actually heal your opponent. So there's all of those are great benefits. The main drawback is that if you're at below 7 health, she only heals you for 8. Or if your opponent has a bunch of armor on top of their health, or they're at full health, you can do you can't actually touch their health. And so you do a maximum of 8 damage to them instead of a potential 15 damage to them with Alexstrasza. Overall, the increased flexibility and the ability to use her in a bunch of different cases, I'm quite certain this is a buff, but there are cases in which it's a bit of a nerf. Malygos, in my mind, I mean, he's cool. So Malygos, the new Malygos, is a battle cry to draw spells until your hand is full. We lost the spell damage, but man, we can draw those combos for a follow-up turn of ridiculous burst. So the fun, crazy, let's build everything and do this ridiculous combo to thrash the opponent with massive spell damage, that's gone. But the ability to draw all our spell combo pieces all at once is now available. So yeah, and with the reduction in card draw, I think Malygos, the Spellweaver, is probably going to see more play than the original Malygos. I think there's a decent chance he sees play in a couple meta decks, actually, not just meme decks. But we'll also include him as a draw tool in meme decks. And then Nosdormu, big change. For those of you who wanted to surprise your opponent, the new version of Nosdormu, a little bit sad, but for those of you who are looking to play mandatory Speedstone with other people who include Nosdormu, you can do it. So Nosdormu the Eternal has a start of game effect. If this is in both players' decks, turns are only 15 seconds long for the entire game. Not just the duration that Nosdormu is out there, but the entire game, every single turn is only 15 seconds. So you've got to go. We're going to do this, maybe in some friendly matches and stuff, and we'll play a few on the ladder to see if we come across somebody else running Nosdormu. And because we just had the Speedstone challenge recently, that's a hard playstyle for me, but we're going to try it anyways. But honestly, I don't think you're going to come across many players that are running this, and so it's almost never going to trigger its effect. But it's a fun card. And in friendly matches or in tournaments, things like that, it's going to be cool because it locks it in to where, for example, for our Speedstone challenge, it was make your first play within 15 seconds and then your entire turn is 45 seconds. Nosdormu is like, nope, your entire turn is 15 seconds. So you got to do everything in that time, which means you're probably not going to play a crazy combo deck like we were trying to do. But yeah, pretty interesting. And yes, a 7 mana 8/8 for the cost is not bad. So it might be worth just running this with the potential upside of if you like really fast Hearthstone, occasionally you get to play a really fast game of Hearthstone. So it's interesting card. It's perhaps the most interesting of the reworks. And then next up is Onyxia. So Onyxia has been changed to, at the end of each turn, fill your board with 1/1 whelps. She rarely stuck to the board anyways, but if she does, she will refill your board at the end of the turn. Now, there is a potential downside to this. Plague of Flames is rotating out, so the times where you would actually want to drop an Onyxia and cast Plague of Flames immediately to use those tokens or sacrifice those tokens, or for example the new Warlock card that if you have 5 minions or more out there, summon a 5/5 after destroying one, that won't work because it's an end of turn effect. But that's the only real drawback. Most of the time, you're getting a lot of extra value out of her. Does that mean she'll see play? I don't think, like, since Quest Hunter is rotating out, probably not. If Quest Hunter was still around, her and Shuma, they both go in the deck. Let's go. Maybe we go to Wild just to see that, or just to do that. But otherwise, I don't think, she's still too slow. It's nice, it's cool, but I doubt she sees play. Now, Ysera, I'm pretty sure is a straight buff. So she's going to, instead of an end of your turn, add a dream card to your hand. Immediately, with her battle cry, you get one of each dream card. So you're guaranteed to get the dream card you're looking for. Now, the dream cards have been reworked. So, for example, Dream no longer is 0 mana, bounce any minion back to its owner's hand. It's 1 mana, bounce an enemy minion back to their hand. So it's a 1 mana sap you get off of Ysera. Which sap is no longer going to be available, but I don't think rogues run her Ysera. Anyways, so Ysera the Dreamer, pretty interesting if you're looking for a specific one of the dream cards, or specific few of the dream cards to overwhelm the opponent. She might, I think she has a better chance of seeing play than she did before, but she probably still doesn't make the cut from meta decks. But I could be wrong. It'd be nice. And then Deathwing is a straight buff, except for in a deck that cares about discarding a bunch. And you have something that will actually benefit from discarding left in your deck, or that's in play somehow, that doesn't die to Deathwing. But yeah, so Deathwing is being changed to a battle cry to destroy all of their minions. Discard a card for each one destroyed. So, for example, say the opponent has 1 or 2 really big minions out there, and you need to deal with them, but old Deathwing, you would have had to discard your entire hand. Now, you just play Deathwing, and you destroy those 2, and you only discard 2 cards. So, feels a lot better. Might actually be an inclusion in some control decks. Especially since Deathwing Mad Aspect is going to be rotating out. So some warrior decks might consider running the upgraded version of Deathwing. But I think this is generally just a straight buff. The only case is if you wanted to discard a bunch of cards all at once. So probably not. Alright, and then that is all the cards that were modified. Now let's look at the cards that are coming back to the core set. Fortunately, not as many, but again, remember, neutral. There are a lot of cards. So, the Wisp is gone, but we get Murloc Tiny Fin. And then a 2-mana 1/2 Taunt Divine Shield is the aggro stopper we've been wanting. So that has returned. Explosive Sheep opens the possibility for Death Rattle craziness, and actually jumping down to Baron Rivendare, Death Rattle decks are going to be very interesting. So we're going to be able to do some crazy stuff with Death Rattles alongside Baron Rivendare. And by the way, I would be amiss. Biss did point out that Death Warden is a very powerful counter to what is likely going to be a year with quite a bit of Death Rattle synergies. And so if you haven't dusted Death Warden, make sure, or think a lot more before you choose to dust it, because there's a decent chance there will be a number of Death Rattle synergy decks out there. Baron Rivendare with Tonks, I'm looking forward to it. Nerubian Egg, also another way to benefit from Baron Rivendare, or just really benefit in general from some buff cards, or that new Warlock card if you manage to have a bunch of other tokens out there at the same time. Sunreaver Spy is returning to the core. It's actually in standard right now, but it would rotate out normally, so I'm counting it as a returning to the core card. And then Ice Rager also coming back to replace Magma Rager. It's just a straight up upgrade. Will it see play? Probably not, but maybe. We'll see. And then Sleepy Dragon coming back, really cool for Menagerie decks. Excited about that. And actually Stormwatcher as well. Something fun to come back from N'Zoth to surprise the opponent with lots and lots of stats. And then lastly, Clockwork Giant. An interesting card. So if the game switches to a lot more late game decks, Clockwork Giants might see inclusion. So Sea Giants are gone, and the aggro decks are sad about that. But they might be happy to see Clockwork Giant. I don't know. There's a chance Clockwork Giants start to see some play, but we'll see. And then lastly, we're to the final cards. So coming with the core set, the neutral cards are Fog Sail Freebooter, a 2-mana 2/2 pirate with a battle cry: if you have a weapon equipped, deal 2 damage. It's a cheaper SI7 agent that you managed to set up a turn previously, or you could equip a weapon that turn. A good pirate. Like, yeah, I like it. We'll see what he does, but I think he makes the cut for any pirate decks that develop. And with South Sea Captain still in the core set, I think pirates have a pretty strong chance. Greenskin's gone, but still, the pirates, we might see a rise of pirates coming back. Overlord Runethak, 5-mana 3/6 rush. Whenever this attacks, give +1/+1 to all minions in your hand. Okay, meta decks, probably not excited. Who cares? For us, I want to give this Wind Fury, or I want to make a bunch of copies of it. I want to drop Playmaker, and I want to drop this guy. And I want to buff our hand to Oblivion. We're going to figure out some interesting ways to use this guy. I'm not sure what yet. I'm not sure which cards we're going to use. I mean, heck, Gift of Luminance. There will be ways we get value out of this. I don't know yet what we're going to do, but we're going to do some crazy stuff with him. We will build some fun decks with Runethak. And then the last card is Talon Forging, 5-mana 3/3. Taunt, Divine Shield, Death Rattle, draw your highest cost minion. So if you're scared of Tokatis burning your best card, burning your N'Zoth, or you manage to shuffle, well, no, he's probably not coming down that late, but you manage to shuffle Cthulhu into your deck or something like that. You want to draw a specific top deck card, and you haven't managed to play Lorekeeper Polkelt yet. Then Talon's great. He's also a 5-mana 3/3 Taunt Divine Shield. So a great way to stall against those aggro decks. He doesn't have lifesteal, so he's no Ziliax, but he's good. And because he has Taunt and Divine Shield, it's difficult for the opponent to get through. And with the reduction in silence potentials, I think 5-mana 3/3, but it has Taunt and Divine Shield and that upside. I think he sees play. In decks looking for specific end-game finisher from the top of their deck, they don't have to run Lorekeeper Polkelt if they know they can get their finisher card with this, and also buying themselves time in the mid-game against aggro decks. So I think Talon sees play. But yeah, that's it for the card reviews and the review of the core set. We are done. So thank you for joining, and may you have an awesome day. And that's it this time. I hope you found this helpful. If you did, be sure to tap that like button, smash that subscribe button, and share your thoughts in the comments below. We've got more content coming soon, but if you'd like to join our experiments live, join us over at twitch.tv/SSAlchemist. We currently stream on Saturdays and Sundays. And remember, you're awesome. Thank you for watching, and have an awesome day.
Strength and honor. This is who we are.